rather early morning, or not so early morning, journey to the supermarket. I checked online before I left today to double check the opening hours. Apparently online it says 7 o'clock for Coles, so it's almost 7 now, and hopefully the doors will actually be open for once, which will be nice. Last night I actually saw a really interesting, well, a film that I've been wanting to see for some time. It's surrounded by quite a bit of controversy, and it's called The Hunt, and it's the basic premise of it is that you've got these elite yuppies, sort of West Coast type yuppies, that basically organise this annual hunt of deplorables, which is a derogatory term used in America to describe people who weren't Democrat supporters when when Trump got into power. Hillary Clinton regarded them as deplorables, probably one of the most damaging political statements ever to be made. It just put so many people off that it probably lost her the election. One sentence regarding all Trump supporters as deplorables really put middle America offside, so it was incredibly damaging. And that's basically the premise of this film, that they collect a dozen of these supposed deplorables from all around the country, take them to an international location, and set it up as if it's actually Arkansas in the States, which used to ironically be the Clintons' state, because Bill Clinton was the governor of Arkansas. So there's a bit of irony there, being one of the big Democrat presidents. And so they basically send these people here. They've actually got mouth gags, so they can't even speak. They've got these things tied around them. I think it's just for a visual effect. That's how the scene opens. You've got a group of people totally disorientated wandering around with these black mouth gags, preventing them from speaking properly. But that's only the beginning of the film, and then the carnage begins. It's basically a splatter flick in effect, but it tries to actually. It was portrayed as being very anti-Trump supporter, and it really doesn't pan out that way at all. It's actually, it has a go at both liberals and who are the left wing in the States, I might add, and the nationalist Trump supporters, the supposed deplorables. And it actually ends up, well, I mean, it's a bit of a spoiler alert. I'll give you a little bit of the plot here. I can't really avoid it. But basically it becomes a face-off between the two female protagonists in the film. Hilary Swank is the elitist boss, and this other woman represents the opposing forces to them, and they basically have a huge catfight at the end of the film. It's another sort of typical feminist type of narrative that's portrayed in Hollywood in virtually every film now, that all women are powerful and all men are weak. I mean, it just pisses me off no end, because it's just a feminist wet dream basically, and it's not reality, and it just shows what sort of a bubble people in Hollywood live in. But that's probably the weakest aspect of the film. The other thing about the film is it's quite confused about any messages it's trying to portray, because it puts shit on both left-wingers and right-wingers. So it's not like it actually is really biased towards one side as such. It's a splatter film basically. It's actually not bad on the entertainment side. It's very B grade. It's not an A grade production. Some of the effects are quite ordinary, But you know, it certainly keeps the pace going. I'll give it that. It actually is entertaining, and I gave it a 6 out of 10, which means it's quite watchable. It's no masterpiece, and it certainly doesn't deserve the notoriety, because it's not that, you know, it's not a great film, but it's okay. It's entertaining, and God, there's so many films that aren't even entertaining that come out of Hollywood these days. That's something to be lauded anyway. But really, it just basically becomes this confrontation between the two alpha females at the end, and they go for it with knives, guns, and whatever. There's a lot of blood, a lot of gore, and it's an absurd ending. It's a cartoon, like most movies are these days, and I just wish to Christ we would have some more balance in these films and show that males actually are the ones more likely to have a conclusion like that, not females. I mean, it's just absurd. So it's become such a terrible feminist cliche. I'm so sick of it, and that's the weakest aspect of the film. So by all means, it's worth seeing, but don't expect Citizen Kane, because it ain't. So I just thought you might be interested in that. Also, as far as the good old coronavirus is concerned, I'm quite optimistic now that we will be out of the worst of this quite soon. I think we might have a month or two of hard times, but I think once that's over, I have a suspicion that it's going to fade away very quickly, and we won't be hearing that much about it in the near future. And that'll be good for the economy, and it'll be good for everybody. We're all social animals, and I don't think we'll be able to hack isolating ourselves for any length of time, to be quite frank. It's going to be it's a really tough ask for people, and I just don't think it's practical. But the good news is, it looks as though there are some medications coming out. Well, they're not coming out. There's one that already exists that actually is quite beneficial. They've actually treated a few people with this, and it's actually cured a few people with coronavirus, and that's actually a medication used to fight malaria. And that seems to be very, very promising, and they're going to be carrying out trials here in Australia on it very soon. And there's also another medication that's in the pipeline already. So things may not be quite as dire as people are making out. Remember, the mainstream media lives on misery. They love scaring the crap out of people, and that's what that's how they make money, basically. And online as well, people online are doing the same thing, making dire predictions about the economy, and people you know, like it's like the next Black Plague and all this sort of crap. It's just garbage, you know, just right over the top. And so you know, just don't believe everything you hear in the media, or don't believe most of what you hear in the media is probably a better way of putting it. You have to be very selective. And but I'm an optimist, and I think we will get over this, and it won't be as long as you think. And we'll all look back on this, and maybe with a bit of shame, because the way people have actually hoarded is just disgraceful. And just the fragility of society has been exposed, and the thin veneer of civility has been punctured, and hopefully, but most people, you know, are decent, I think, and people I've spoken to, you know, they think the whole thing's crazy, and I think that's how the major consensus. So fingers crossed, things will get better. I missed a really amazing trade opportunity. I'm so pissed off at myself. On Thursday, there's a stock called CIM, which used to be called Leighton's, and they're a big construction company, and they tanked big time. And I was really looking and thinking, gee, that's so cheap. And it was. And guess what happened? The next day, the stock went up over 40. I think for almost 50% increased in value. The perfect trade stock. And I looked at it and I didn't do anything, and I had the money in the bank. I could have bought, you know, quite a few $1,000 worth of this stuff and made a 50% profit in 24 hours. Oh God, I'm kicking myself. That one went straight through to the keeper, and I don't know why. And that's probably one of the worst mistakes you can make with the stock market, is if you don't act upon your instincts at times. You really need to. The opportunities don't come that often, and that might be a one in a decade offer. So that was opportunity. So that was pretty bad. Anyway, well, hopefully we'll get some shopping action happening soon. At least it's a bit lighter. An extra hour makes a big difference. Yesterday was a total waste of space, and also it was a bit seedy as well, so it's a lot better today. Oh, he's back again. Wow, I'm in the inner sanctum. I'm actually inside Cairns Central. Amazing. So the door is open, no hassles. That guy there's the one that was waiting outside the door yesterday morning. So he just walked straight past me. And yeah, as I say, it would have been nice if they just put a note on the door just saying that the hours have been changed. But oh no, they do all the media stuff, and then they don't do the basics, like put a note for people that just front up on the street. And it wasn't just me and this guy, it was a few other people did too. So thumbs down for basic communication on that one. I mean, how hard is it just to run off a note and stick it to the front door? God. See, sometimes low-tech can work. Anyway, it's not exactly crowded here. So these community days they have for elderly and handicapped, they only run them during the week. There you go, toilet paper already. There's definitely people already walking out with it. So I'll definitely get some toilet paper today. That's good. All right. Well, that was successful. That's the first time I've actually seen at least a reasonable supply of toilet paper on the shelves. Virtually every second shopper had toilet paper with them. They'd bought it, so there's a huge demand still there. But what was interesting is I noticed there was even some pasta on the shelves, and that had been cleaned out the previous time. So maybe things are finally settling down a bit. It's a combination of maybe people not panicking quite as much, and also the supply chain now getting better at providing the basics to people. So as I say, I've got a feeling that we may be over the worst of it. This could be the peak, and it may start to get better from now on. Fingers crossed. Because it isn't the end of the world. It's a disruption, but look, we all should get through it okay. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you think there's anything there of use to you, or entertainment or whatever. And either do that or give me a thumbs up, or if you're feeling really energetic, do both. That'd be great. But please don't ignore me. That's the worst thing you can do on YouTube, is be ignored.